I have chosen to talk about the role of supporting language development for infants and toddlers. Language is different for all children, and supporting them where they are and having the influence as a caregiver or teacher makes it an important job. I am interested in this topic because my daughter is currently 14 months old, and I am interested in where she should be developmentally and ways I can best help at home with her language development. Early language development begins in the first 3 years of life and is the foundation that builds the language skills for later in life. Throughout my presentation, I will reference 3 main resources: The Word Gap by Laura Kulker, the 0 to 3 organization, and Dr. Gallagher and Nicole Gardner Neblet's guide titled More Than Baby Talk. The main thing I will cover is activities to develop language in infants and toddlers. But first, a few things to understand the actual development of language. Receptive language is the ability to understand language. This starts from inside the womb. Infants are able to hear words towards the end of pregnancy. As the baby develops, the child is able to understand more and more. Expressive language is the ability to communicate. Throughout my presentation, I will give examples and ways to communicate with infants and toddlers. Children develop at different rates, but as educators and care providers, we provide the language they hear every day. What we do and say helps them develop the needed language skills to be successful at all stages in life. In the article, The Word Gap by Laura Kulker, it states that children's vocabulary skills are linked to their economic backgrounds. By 3 years of age, there is a 30 million word gap between children from the wealthiest and poorest families. 30 million words. That's a lot of talking that needs to be done. Early intervention is important because vocabulary development during the preschool years is related to later reading skills and school success in general. Reading with children daily, talking about new words, and singing songs are just a few ways to help build language. By reading with each child, you are talking about things they are interested in, and it can expand their vocabulary. Reading affects literacy, thinking, and language skills. Infants and toddlers feel safe, loved, and secure while sitting in your lap reading a book. On the website 0to3.org, I found children that are read to not only develop reading skills, they are also more likely to feel empathy and pick up social-emotional skills early. The relationship you have with a child builds that trust and fosters an environment for exploring and being confident to do so. When reading with infants and toddlers, having them point or using an expressive voice while reading are a couple strategies. In the article, More Than Baby Talk, making connections between the book and child's life is one way to develop language. One example was when reading a book that has a picture of a dog, you could say, "You have a dog that's brown just like this one. What kinds of things does your dog like to do?" I found this very helpful. After reading the same book a couple times, this is a great strategy to get the child thinking more and more. Even if they can't respond, you respond for them, and they are hearing that many more words. In the picture on this page, my daughter is reading a book that has animals in it. We have read it over and over and over and over again. She can meow like a cat, baa like a sheep, and moo like a cow. It's really fun to see how her language develops after reading the same book over and over again. The impact of language on infants and toddlers is vital to their development. The research from the 30 million word gap proves this point. To know that some children hear that many more words than others is mind-boggling. Language is the center of our curriculum. The way we teach and what we say and do makes the impact of language so important. According to 0to3.org, the interactions that young children have with literacy materials like books, paper, and crayons, and with adults in their lives are the building blocks for language, reading, and writing development. By having books available, the kids are given the perfect opportunity to read with them and read interactively. Point to and label objects or actions in a book, and ask open-ended questions and answer when appropriate. Tune In was one of my favorite ways to promote the language and communication skills of infants and toddlers. Research shows that children whose parents talk about what the child is focused on and have more advanced vocabularies than children whose parents try to redirect children's attention. One example is, if possible, provide a demonstration of the different ways the object the child is focusing on may be used. You're rolling the blue ball. Let's see if we can bounce the ball too. After reading the strategies of how to promote language in infants and toddlers, I think a lot of people do it naturally, but to be more mindful of what we say and do can help them grow even more. Asking open-ended questions and answering for a child can seem a little awkward, but it is important to make sure that they are getting all of those vocabulary words. The way that I found to assess language development in infants and toddlers is by using the developmental checklist for infants and toddlers. You could keep a checklist of what they are doing or what they still need to work on. The resources I used to find my information were More Than Baby Talk, 0to3.org, and The Word Gap. These 3 resources all had things that intermixed with each other and proved the point that reading is the way to promote language in infants and toddlers, and there are lots and lots of ways to read and to interact with children.